Goedendag, mijn naam is Pascal Wijrijk van Wijn en Druif Beverwijk. Wij hebben voor jullie een hele mooie film gemaakt in Zuid-Afrika van 3 estates. Dornier, Wijnbouw Zuid-Afrika en Neil Ellis. En we nemen jullie graag mee in de wondere wereld van Stellenbosch.
Goedemorgen hier zo op Wijnbouw Zuid-Afrika. Ik is Anton Malan. Ik zit hier bij die prachtige natuurlijke fontein wat uit die berg uitkomt. Wat belangrijk is met die wijn maak is ons gebruik hierdie water vir die natuurlike verkoeling van die wyn. When I worked in Bordeaux in November 2000, we worked mainly with Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot and Cabernet Franc, but it was always in blends. And it was totally different in style than our South African sort of style Cabernet Franc. Like Cabernet Franc is used still mostly worldwide just as blends. But I tasted this Cabernet Franc out of a barrel with this friend. I thought, yeah, this is the best wine I've ever tasted. I always had it in mind, I want to definitely try and make a single Cabernet Franc. And I did a barrel tasting and I brought out the wines before I bottled it. I wanted to bottle the Cabernet Franc, it was in 05, and I said, here's the barrels. And we tasted it and they all raved about it. And I thought, no, I'm going to take a chance and definitely do a single Cab Franc. So at the end of winemaking, Cabernet Franc is my love, that's my flagship. It's a thing that, if I want to make my last wine ever, it will be Cab Franc. We are in the new Wijnbouw Zuid tasting room. So we're starting here with the Cabernet Franc Rosé. So perfect, like I said, a perfect wine for nicely in the summer, seafood dishes. I get a little bit of that fynbos mineralic Cabernet Franc character coming through. Just seeing dis ware wyne wat van 'n ware landgoed afkom. Van die fontein tot in die glas. Gesonde Hollanders gesondheid.
When I started doing, let's call it my own thing, it was basically with nothing, only this dream. No single piece of land can ever be good for all varieties. And if we look at a variety like Cabernet Sauvignon, which we are particularly well known for, I think we've got a nice soft hand on it. And I structured a joint venture with a grower in the Jonkershoek Valley. The very first wine was Cabernet. It is still, as I've told you, the most important variety that we make. Our wines tend to have an elegance about them, but underpinned by let's call it subtle power, and I think that's the hallmark of the distinctive style that we make. But still, there is no substitute for quality. There's no substitute for value. And I think we, and when I say we, forming part of what the offer that South Africa can give are probably some of the best wines we can get on this planet, and certainly in terms of value. One will pay anywhere from 3 to 5 times more for the equivalent quality coming from another country. I think for us it's the knowledge of our vineyard sites within Stellenbosch that make our Cabernets slightly distinctive. Over die gemaakt ken sy storie.
Oldest of the New World wine producers. Pretty much has 1 foot in Europe and 1 foot in Africa. Claude Dornier was the aviation engineer that brought the family to fame, and they were as a result of his engineering, landed the first seaplane in Cape Town Harbour in 1927, and it was his son, Christophe Modeste Dornier, who had no interest in aviation engineering. He had a passion for architecture, art, wine, and Stellenbosch itself. So he was one of the first foreign investors in the South African wine industry in 1995. Behind every single one of the wines that we produce, there is actually some great story to be had and to be told. So Moorrenaar's Kloof is actually a geographical point which is situated very close to Dornier. And it's all about a true story, given the fact that it's a geographical point where in the early 1800s there was a commoner living on the land free of charge in exchange for some work that he would do for the local farmers at the time. And one night he just went missing. And the worst was presumed, and so today we have Moorrenaar's Kloof mountain, or gorge rather, and the stream that runs around from it. He lived in a house there, and the foundations of the house stand there still today. In front of that, or rather facing that exact house, we have an old block of Chenin Blanc vines. The wine showed such great beauty that we decided this had to be bottled on its own, and hence came about Moorrenaar's Kloof Chenin Blanc. From that, we decided that it had to have a partner. The Tinta Barocca wine is an unusual grape variety, which is something else that Dornier does quite well, is to produce wines from lesser known varietals. I mean, what makes both of these wines, Moorrenaar's Kloof Chenin Blanc and Moorrenaar's Kloof Tinta Barocca, so unique is the fact that the vines are really old. Ek dink na al die gesels is nou iets tyd om die wyne te gaan proe.